Welcome to Ticker Talk with hosts Max and Kate, podcasting from TreeTown in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Ticker Talk shares the everyday success stories and science behind the heart rate-based functional aerobic fitness training practiced at CrossFit TreeTown. Max and Kate explore the research, science, and practical experiences behind Ticker Training, a program developed by Max for just about everyone, your grandma, your cousin who runs marathons, and you. In this series, we'll explore what exactly heart rate-based functional aerobic fitness is, how what you eat affects how you move and how you feel, what tools to use in tracking progress, and how to fit training into your everyday life. Join us and learn something new to make a healthier you. Pace yourself.
Okay. Yeah, it seems to be working. Cool. All right, you guys, thanks so much for coming tonight. It's a Tuesday, 7 o'clock, probably a few other things you'd rather be doing. But I'm really excited that you came because I get to talk about my mission and my purpose in life all of a sudden, other than being a good dad and a good husband. This is kind of where I've really found my niche, and it's really driving me to wake up early in the morning, stay up late, and trying to spread the word and get as many people on board with this mission that I've discovered. And it's really rewarding. You guys, if you kind of like start to get on this journey with me and we come aboard, you're going to learn a lot about yourself in this process. And it's going to have to take a whole mindset shift as far as what we've been taught. Okay. So bear with me today because usually I talk in front of lots of people, but they're usually in my gym. So they've heard this kind of stuff from me over time. So when I come and I talk about it, it's like regurgitated a little bit. So I'm trying to make sure that I don't kind of go too far in with you guys before educating you a little bit to make sure you're kind of on the same page with me. Okay. So if at any point you're just like, I don't get that, that doesn't make sense to me, please let me know. Okay. So my name is Max. And I kind of wanted to just write down what we're going to do here tonight real quick. And then I'll try not to stray too much. I get really excited and can get off tangent here. So I'm going to try to keep this and stay focused here, okay? So what are we here to talk about? And how can it help you in your quest for optimal health and the best you? Got it? So that's really what we're here to talk about, okay? You're already in this place of Dr. Jen and Kayla and Jen Browner, that this is just this huge place of healing and striving for optimal health. Yes, that's kind of what brought you here. So this is maybe another potential step on that path for you or your journey towards that. Okay. All right. So I am going to go through here and we're going to define a few things: inflammation, stress, intensity, adaptation, math. And then we're going to talk about kind of my inspiration for this, who is Dr. Maffetone, and give you a little bit of background on him with his workings with Mark Allen. We're going to talk a little bit about an aerobic person versus an anaerobic and what does those two things mean. And then we're going to talk about the Ticker Training mission, which is one of my companies that we're trying to assimilate this information through, okay? And then I'm just going to share what we are doing through Ticker Training, and I'm going to share some stories from our members that are having success with this. And then try to give you something that you can do with this new information that you have. Okay, sound okay? So I got you for at least 15, 20 minutes. Okay, it's probably gonna take me longer than that, but I'll do my best. All right. So to start, just to kind of give you some background on myself and how I came about with this. Well, first of all, let me back up one step. First of all, I want you guys to know that I don't want you to feel like I'm selling you anything tonight. If you decide you want to learn more, please reach out and I'm happy to do that. But my real mission here is to just assimilate what we are finding, and you guys can just kind of take and see if that resonates with you and if you want to learn more. Okay. Am I okay? Am I not too loud? I feel like I'm really loud. Not too bad. Okay. All right. So I kind of start by just letting you know, like, my background here. I grew up on a dairy farm. Worked really hard all the time from the age of 3 until I was able to move out of the house, and then never went back. It wasn't that I disliked anybody there. It was just a lot of work, and it wasn't me. But I did really like the hard work. But I also liked racing bikes, competing, and doing that kind of stuff. So through high school, I was a runner. Had good success there, enough to be able to go on to college to run in college a little bit. From there, I kind of fell in love with racing bicycles. Took that passion and was offered a professional contract where I went all over the country. In fact, was invited to a race in China and actually got to race up and over the Tangaloon Pass, which is basically the divider between China and Tibet, and got to finish in Lhasa. So I got to see and do a lot of things because of that avenue. But to get there, I had to go through a lot of strain and stress. I found a lot of success doing things by the no pain, no gain adage, right? And I could really, really give myself a lot of pain to get to these levels of my expectations of myself, right? And I was very successful with that for a short time. And that's kind of where this comes from, okay? So in society, right, we see a lot of things about high intensity training. Yes? You guys are all familiar with this is the new way to get fit, and it's the only way to get fit. And if you can't do high intensity, basically too bad for you. You don't deserve to be healthy or fit. It's kind of how it feels a little bit, yes? Because I don't know how many of you have tried it, but if you're not already having an athletic background, or if you just don't like to do that to yourself, and that's totally okay, but you were kind of at this loss, like, well, where do I go now? I can't do that, or I don't want to do that, or I don't enjoy that. So now all of a sudden you're just kind of in this like, well, I guess I'm just going to find other ways to try not to lose mobility, lose movement, right? Because one of your main or my main focuses when I got into coaching CrossFit was teaching people how to move and increasing their range of motion, which that is how I felt for myself and for others. I was going to help them hold off old age, keep them out of the home, keep them being able to take care of themselves, all that. Are we kind of in line with that, seeing where I'm going with this? Okay. So I had this really great avenue to be able to do that because I saw people increase their range of motion, like men that couldn't hold their hand above their head any higher than this would one day then be able to reach overhead because of the type of movements that we were doing. And it was CrossFit. And I don't know how many of you, are you guys familiar with CrossFit? You've seen it on TV. Yes, you know what it is. And, it's high intensity functional movement, right? And essentially what they are selling and what I'm selling as a CrossFit gym is the ability to do functional movement that are good for you and your life, right? So one of our foundational things is to be able to squat to the, hips below parallel and able to reach up overhead. And if you can do those two things well into your 70s, 80s, and 90s, your quality of life is probably going to be higher than it would be if this was your squat and this is how you raise your head. Is that fair to say, right? If you're able to get up off the ground, you're able to get in and out of your car. These are all things that improve your quality of life for a longer time, right? During this model, right, I've seen a lot of different type of people come and go, right? And the ones that excel in this world of high intensity are people that have what I would call a training background of some sort or athletic background, or they just kind of were like not all broken. And I don't know if they weren't all overinflamed already. Many people that come to me, they're already consuming too much sugar, not moving enough, right? So they're very potentially deconditioned. Now, that is a very hard environment for that person to come into contact with when you come into a CrossFit gym, especially when you see some of the things guys walking on their hands, pulling themselves up and over rings, jumping up and down high boxes, and all of these things. And it can seem very unapproachable to the average person from the outside. What you don't see in CrossFit is all of the benefits that come with it as far as being a part of a group, having the support of others, challenging yourself, growth, being able to put yourself through these range of motion, and finally, eventually being able to perform these movements that, are basic movements for life, really, right? So, all right, are you guys still with me? Okay, I didn't really rehearse that much, so that kind of got out of control. All right, but I want to take a little bit of time to talk about inflammation, right? And stress mostly. You can't really talk about fitness and health without discussing inflammation. We're all familiar with inflammation, yes. I mean, I kind of wrote down what the the definition, inflammation is the body's attempt to self-protect, to help, to fight harmful stimuli, and to begin the healing process, right? Inflammation is part of the body's immune response. Damage to tissues would not be able to heal without an inflammatory response, right? Does that all resonate with you guys of what inflammation means? Okay. And we kind of have some ideas of what causes inflammation, especially probably being part of this world, right? You guys give me some inflammatory things. I'm thinking like outside influences, pesticides, herbicides, not sleeping enough, sugar. I was gonna save that for this special world there, right? Yeah, right. But that is the major point here that we're gonna get to kind of here. Got it. No, that's okay. And I want you guys to understand that this goes with this, and they also go with this, and they also go with this. Got it? Okay, so sugar relates to stress, sugar relates to intensity. Okay. What I'm here to talk to you guys about is how the program that we're utilizing, how it's reducing inflammation. It's reducing the cravings for sugar. It's reducing the adrenal response to give your body sugar to be able to function, to move. Got it? Okay, so I think we're all kind of like pretty aware of what stress is. Yes, it's basically the application of pressure, right? And if we apply too much stress, what happens? Eventually it'll break, right? And when things break, now we all of a sudden we have to look at that as, if it's in your body, we have to look at that as dis-ease, whether it's disease or just, my shoulder doesn't work like it should, right? It's inflamed. I can't put my hand over my head. That's really what's causing that, right? I can't bend at my knees anymore. They hurt all the time. That's a sign of inflammation, right? Muscle imbalances as well. That all has a role. But if you really get down to the root, why did those muscle imbalances occur? Probably because of inflammation, because you no longer like to move through those range of motion. Okay. So, still with me? Still with me? Okay. All right. So, and then can we just talk about your heart rate as a response to stress, and how I want to just kind of make sure that you guys are understanding that the heart rate, or your heart rate, is kind of a measurable avenue for stress, right? Do we get that? Like a heart rate of 60 BPM, right, is less stressful than 160, right? Got it? And then this will also relate to this. It will relate to stress, and it'll relate to intensity. Still with me? Okay, so the heart rate is just a response to stress within your body. Okay, this will all relate when I start sharing some stories. Okay, cool. All right, and then intensity, right? I wrote down, intensity wasn't a great definition for how we're doing it, but magnitude of a quantity such as energy per unit, right? Does that kind of make sense? Like it's a level of energy being put out. There's high, there's low, there's medium intensity, all different types of level. For today's talk, can we just kind of agree that if anything below 75% of your max heart rate, anything below, would be considered low intensity? Can we just have that agreement for today? So as we kind of move through, that's intensity in case you're wondering. Okay, I like to write things on the board. It makes me feel smart until I look up and I spell something wrong. Okay, and then anything above 75% would be high intensity. Got it? Fair of that? Can we just say that's we can agree on that for today? Okay, there's some medium. There might be 75 to 80 that would be, in some people's world, say medium intensity, but for today, for our talk, we're going to use these two ranges, okay? All right. And then just adaptation, right? Definition of adaptation, a change or the process of change by which an organism or a species becomes better suited to his environment. Got it? Okay. So adaptation is going to occur based on this and this and this and this and this. Does that make sense? You will adapt to whatever you do the most of from what we're finding. Okay. Right. So these all kind of work together. And then math, that is your maximum aerobic function. And if you can take anything from this is that to go home and look it up. Aerobic function. Whoops. And this relates to Dr. Maffetone. Okay, so maximum aerobic function is basically the heart rate in which your body is the most efficient at burning and utilizing fat as a fuel source and carbohydrates in kind of unison. Okay, and that again will relate to how intense you're doing it, how stressful it is, how inflamed you are, and how quickly you're adapting. Got it? So all of these will affect how quickly you do this based on how good you get at this. Still following me? Okay, I got a little crazy there. Hopefully that's good. No, you're good. Maximum aerobic function, Jen. I was just discussing that is a heart rate in which you are the most efficient at burning and utilizing fat as a fuel source. Now, Dr. Maffetone, we'll get into him in just a minute, but I want to talk about, I just kind of touched on this, utilizing fat as energy. Okay, you'll hear this in the world of, become a fat burner or get in the fat burning zone and all of that kind of stuff, right? And that's a real thing. It's not just kind of junk. It is, can I say bastardized in here, a term, right? That is a term that is thrown around for and kind of used inaccurately. And the coolest thing about what we started utilizing in the program that we are becoming a part of is that we can actually prove to you where you are by doing a little test. Okay, and we'll get into that a little bit. But the reason that you want to become a fat burner and the ability to burn fat as a fuel source is it's really efficient. It's an efficient fuel source, right? So if fat is a source for energy, we also have carbohydrates. Carbohydrate, right? What's this also? Sugar, right? Now, again, this relates to high intensity, right? So fat burns at lower heart rates, okay? And we're finding if you practice and train and eat appropriately at these maximum aerobic function heart rates, we can actually shift and start to change how your body utilizes fat for fuel, okay? Not for energy. To get yourself out of bed, move around, go for a walk, chase your kids, on your bike, lift weights, however extreme you want to get with it, okay? Now, let's talk about the difference between utilizing fat and carbohydrate, okay? So fat is very efficient. Basically, it's very easy for your body to break down at lower intensity work, meaning that you can go a lot longer on that. You won't need to refuel or replenish that fuel source. And the biggest thing is it doesn't give off an excess amount of heat, right? So carbohydrates, sugar, anytime you eat sugar and then utilize it for, standing here talking, getting from your car to here, it creates a hot system within your body. It takes through a whole Krebs cycle, and we kind of remember that from high school. And a whole bunch of energy is lost every time you're using a gram of sugar to fuel yourself to move. Got it? It's kind of like gasoline, right? Gasoline is really inefficient for a car. You put all this gas in, and about 30% of that is utilized to make the car go, and 70% is just lost in heat. Now, I want you to kind of think about what that means, because that's the same thing that sugar does to you. Got it? So you burn and utilize sugar for energy. The rest is given off in heat. Well, what does heat cause? Right? What does it do? It gets hot enough, it'll burn. Cause what? Inflammation. Jen, I'm glad I planted you in here.
No, I was actually having to think about it. I was like, well, it sounds like it.
Yeah, It's inflammation, right? So this is why we talk about sugar and all of this kind of stuff, taking sugar out of your diet, trying to get rid of it, right? But what happens is we get in this circle, right? What happens, like, let's say you are an exerciser and you do a lot during the day and your body is not adapted to burning fat. You'll eat your lunch and it was high in carbohydrate. It doesn't have to be sugar, that doesn't have to be, gum and garbage candy. It can be breads and pastas and, anything refined, right? Well, what happens is you eat that and then you do anything, you burn it fast, and then you search for more of it really quick, right? As opposed to an avocado, eggs, bacon, all of these like things that people are afraid to eat for cholesterol. And I don't really want to get into that because Jen will do all that, right? And there's enough research finding now that fatty foods are not causing heart disease, heart issues. What's causing is this from too many sugars, right? So now you get caught in this circle though, where you have no way to become a fat burner because you just don't spend any time doing that. Especially if you are an exerciser and you're taught no pain, no gain, right? So you got to go out and I got to burn all this food off, all these calories I ate. So I need to go out and just kill myself, right? Well, I would call that not sustainable, right? That gets old, it gets tiring. It's a lot of work, right? So what we have found is that through practice of training at your maximum aerobic function of 180 beats, okay, so 180 minus your age, right? So if you're 43, your math would be 137. I'm 43, so that's why I didn't know how to have to do any real math. 137 BPM. Got it? Now, I don't know how many of you have ever worn a heart rate monitor. Any of you? Yeah, a little bit. Okay. I can promise you that the first time you do this, if you are not a fat burner, this is very difficult. When I first started doing this, okay, remember I said I was a bike racer and I got there really fast through lots of intensity. I was not a fat burner. The reason that my career was short was because I eventually just got so inflamed that I could no longer endure what I was asking. I didn't have an aerobic system. I wasn't robust. So that's where I'm going with this, okay? So when I started this, I was very much an anaerobic athlete. I was a sugar burner. Even though I was married to a beautiful doctor that we talk about, eating good foods and all of that, I would still eat, gluten-free pizza and a fair bit of just, I was filling a lot of my diet with potatoes, right? Still a sugar, right? And I was prescribing to high intensity work. Got it? And I was really good at this. I'll do a humble brag, right? In CrossFit, we have this worldwide competition, and this is funny. This ends up being funny, but not funny, okay? So we do this worldwide competition, and everybody in the world that does CrossFit almost does it. Got it? There's 400 some odd thousand people total that did it. And you compare yourself to every other crazy CrossFitter out there that wants to do these 5 workouts over this week. And I was the 83rd fittest 40-year-old on the planet. And this was out of, 30,000 people. Okay? I was pretty good, right? The difference between first and 83rd is still a pretty big gap, but not horrible. And I did that a couple years in a row. And I was, proud of this, right? I worked really hard. I beat myself in the ground. And then one day I was out walking with Jen, and we walked from my gym, which is in downtown Ann Arbor, up to just get some food. And I'd already trained that morning. I'd worked out. And, Jen's scooting along, right? And I'm like, baby, we got to slow down. I was like, I'm way too fit to be out here walking this much, right? I was and this was not a joke, right? I was literally I wanted to sit down. One, I was tired from just the training and volume of work, but also functioning, like just walking, my heart rate was probably 150 beats, right? When my math is here, right? Like I'm working. This is work. Walking was work for me. And I'm the 83rd fittest man on the planet for 40-year-olds. Do you guys see the disconnect here, right? This fitness, this high intensity model does not equate this. Do you guys get that? Because I didn't sound very healthy, right? I was craving sugar. During this time, I had to take a 3 o'clock nap every day. I worked my whole day around getting my nap because I had to have it. I would just be a disaster. And I would wake up every night at 3 a.m, right? Craving food. Yeah, my adrenals were shot. You guys get where I'm going with this? Okay. So that introduces me to Dr. Maffetone. I started kind of like making some decisions for my gym. I was kind of like, this just doesn't make sense. I get out of my car, I run from here into Target, and I'm like, whew. Meanwhile, I'm this guy. Do you get that? Lean, fit, no body fat, like working really hard, beating myself up, trying to be healthy, fit. And then I started kind of like, okay, when I was racing bikes, we always talked, and running, we talked about putting in base miles, just kind of like dummy miles, just time on your feet, just running. And that would have been aerobic work. Do you guys get that? Okay, and that would have been, for me, it still would have been 155 beats plus. But my rate of perceived exertion was so high. I was so good at beating myself up and punishing myself that, oh, I'm just running easy today. Meanwhile, my heart rate was still really high. Got it? But when I was kind of starting to try to get people to do this at my gym, like just programming things and just saying things like, slow down, take it easy. Like even just that act alone, people like started to see little changes. And then I started talking more and more about it, and I started learning from other coaches that were my mentors and started kind of putting these pieces together. And one of my members, he's just like, this kind of sounds like Dr. Maffetone stuff. And I'm like, what is that? Got online, started searching. Now I'm in the trenches, right? I'm learning about this Dr. Maffetone, and he's a chiropractor, and he's been doing this for about 30 years. And he was the coach for Mark Allen. Do you guys remember Mark Allen, you older crowd? No, okay. Mark Allen was winning all of the Ironmans in the late 80s. He and Dave Scott were like the two big competitors. They were super fast. They still, many of their times are not being topped by people today with all the new training and stuff like that. So they were just leaders in their field. And Dr. Maffetone, or Mark Allen, he had lost like 4 or 5 races to Dave Scott and a couple other guys. Like he would be winning and then he would just run out of energy and crash. And he would just, he'd finish the race and he was just totally broken. Well, then he started working with this Dr. Maffetone, and Dr. Maffetone said, listen, you are not allowed to run any faster than whatever your heart will allow at 155 beats. Okay, that was this 180 minus your age. Got it? So for an athlete like Mark Allen, this is a world-class, if Olympics, if the triathlon at that time would have been the Olympics, he would have been one, right? This is this is this guy, just so you know, the same guy. Got it? Just on a higher level, right? But so he was really, he said to Dr. Maffetone, he's like, you got to be joking. I'm not allowed to run any faster than this until I stop improving my mile time at that. My competitors are going to laugh at me. It's going to be a joke. So he says, okay, well, do you want to do it or not? And he's like, yeah, he's desperate enough. He's tired. And Dr. Maffetone had enough research to show him this is the way. It's going to be time. It's going to take, a lot of effort. But he started coaching him. So he went out the first mile he ran, and I'm in the range on this, okay? But it was around 8 minutes for a mile. Got it? His first time doing it. He trained and trained and trained. And within 3 years, at that same heart rate, he ran like a 5:10. So he had taught Mark how to do way more work with the same effort, the same stress, right? I don't know, that makes my hair on my arm stand up, because that is like something that my mission now at my gym, and for anybody that will sit down and listen to me, My wife doesn't like to go to dinner with me anymore if we have guests. She's like, please don't talk about that. Right. But, you know, my mission is now to take, and I just happen to have about anywhere from 175 to 200 members at my gym that trust me. And I just started doing this and educating them on this. I'm like, you're just lab rats anyway, so let's just try it together, right? And they've bought in, and the changes that they're seeing are pretty awesome, right? We're having people like, I'll share some more, but like we're doing this type of stuff, right? In CrossFit. None of what I'm doing is my idea. This is Dr. Maffetone and his work that prove that this can happen. I'm just taking it to the world of CrossFit or functional movement. I'm calling it functional aerobic fitness, FAF. I don't want to get too many FAFs and MAFs and stuff up here, right? But and the idea here is if I can teach you, so now it's our joke at the gym. Before it used to be enough just to like CrossFit was really hard, and to just be able to do it was good. You felt really accomplished. Well, now it's not good enough. I want you to do CrossFit, and I want it to be easy for you, right? I want it to be this and better for people. I want it to be that. And we're starting to see people able to actually do squatting, lifting weights at these lower heart rates. And then I have some data here that I'll show you what happens through time and practice of this. Okay. Now keep in mind, this doesn't happen overnight, and this doesn't happen without like swallowing your pride, without attention to detail, and without attention to what you are putting in your mouth. Now, we are finding that you don't really have to change your diet to become a fat burner. We're just seeing that that does have an effect on your overall performance. It does make a difference with how good and how fast you get at this and what's your rate of change. Got it? That kind of makes sense to us, right? If you're eating a whole bunch of sugar, your progress is going to be slower, but you still potentially can see progress. Got it? All right. I think we're pretty understanding with what ticker training. Ticker training is what I've coined this idea of how we're doing this for our gym. So CrossFit TreeTown, which is the gym that I own, will eventually be like CrossFit TreeTown powered by ticker training. I anticipate other gyms wanting to learn how to do this one day. I think it's going to be that profound. So ticker training's mission is to join Dr. Maffetone in killing the no pain, no gain, right? And how are we going to do that? By educating people just about it. We're teaching and talking a lot about aerobic efficiency or metabolic efficiency. And metabolic efficiency is just being able to utilize fat as a fuel source. What does that look like for a person? I'll show you on a graph in a minute. That'll be easier. All right. So I just want to talk a little bit about the difference between doing an aerobic workout or an anaerobic workout. Got it? Anaerobic is what I would call high intensity. Generally, what you're being sold is the only way. That's your Orange Theories in your most CrossFit gyms and HIIT classes, boot camp, right? They're selling you hit it hard, rest, hit it hard, rest, and that's the only way you're gonna get fit. Yeah, Tabata, all that kind of stuff. And there are benefits to that stuff. Just there's a time for it, and it's not on an already stressed aerobic system, right? You want to add that stuff to a well-built, well-defined aerobic system. The reason that is sold high intensity is you get fit really fast. You see results fast, right? That's how they can sell you 6 weeks of abs or 6 weeks to lose 60 or 30 pounds or something, because it's so intense, right? If you can endure it. And then not only that, if you don't get hurt, first of all, or you just don't lose motivation, or if you don't if you're strong-willed enough to not get done with that workout and then go eat everything that you can get your hands on, whether it's bread, sugar, meat, whatever. That's what I found. I love the high intensity, you guys. I love it. It's super fun, and I was really good at it. But literally, I would get done with that, and I would feel like I had to just chase my food, kill it, eat it, and then sleep. That was my routine with it. Does that sound sustainable? Right? No, we're kind of evolved past that, right? We have to go to our job, sit at our desk, do whatever we do. Okay. So an anaerobic athlete, right? And I kind of talk about this in essence. You guys know like the term essence. Like if I were to say my essence now is would be more of an endurance athlete, where somebody that can sprint really fast and run the 100 meters, their essence would be more of like an anaerobic or an explosive athlete, right? There's an endurance and an explosive athlete. Can you guys get that? An anaerobic person might be that sprinter, right? Sprinter, just to give you an idea. And this might be a long distance runner. Okay. And I'm just going to try to go through a couple of these. Aerobic is essentially exercising or training with oxygen. That sounds nice, doesn't it? Moving, functioning in life with all the oxygen you need, right? Well, the opposite is without. And that alone should be the end of my talk. Right? Would be terms that would go with this would be sustainable. This is not sustainable. You do this long enough, you will die. Essentially, if you can do this long enough, you can chase yourself. Like let's say you're being chased, and you have to be anaerobic. Eventually, if you could adrenally wise be done. Got it? All right. Aerobic would be associated with low stress, high stress. And we relate that to what? Inflammation, right? Low inflammatory response, right? You don't have to have what is inflammation again? Response to healing. Got it? This has an incredibly high inflammatory response. Got it? When we have a high inflammatory response that's due to stress, we're trying to heal something. Generally, how do we heal ourselves? Well, food, sleep, rest, right? But then we add sugar to that. It's not a very good cycle I'm finding. Okay. This athlete craves fat. Like actually an avocado is sweet to this person. Carrots, celery. This person, is craving sugar. Anything they can get their hands on. Bread, pasta. Right? You guys following me? I haven't lost you. Are you bored yet? Okay. This person has an even energy throughout the day. This person takes naps, has lots of highs and lows. If I can I swear, Jen? This person isn't from time to time. This person is even keeled, patient. You guys get that? Right? And I know this person. I've seen it. I've seen the change. We can ask Dr. Jen. Okay. This person sleeps well. This person wakes up, needs a snack. How does that affect this adaptation, right? See how all of this relates back, right? This is high adaptation rate. It takes a long time. Does that make sense? So this has a high adaptation, like meaning you can adapt to new work that you're trying to do, but it just takes a long time to build the most like efficient or the most aerobic athlete or person. Got it? It just takes time. This is quick. It's easy to do this to people. Easy to induce in most people. Got it? You got it. Not sustainable. Yeah, I got everything else in there. Okay, so can you guys kind of see like the difference of what I would call the essence of people, right? Now, yeah, generally. I mean, yeah, lots of spikes in their energy levels. Easily agitated, right? That's this guy. Maybe I should put that instead. Dr. Jen would like that. She'd like that better, right? Again, I have to be careful. My crowds are different. I know if I spelled that right. I'm just writing the right. Okay, so are you guys kind of seeing where this is all going, right? Remember, this maffetone method, or this MAF, is your maximum aerobic function. That is 180 beats minus your age for most people. There is some variation in that. If you're older than 40, you potentially are going to be able to get a few beats if you're really healthy and uninflamed. But if you are not that person, more sedentary, right? For 71. So that is about, yeah. Yeah, so 109. And I would say plus, yeah, yeah, yeah. I would say in general, though, we're finding with most people over 40, they get 5 beats very quickly. Just with a little bit of activity, they'll get 5 beats. So I would probably, like, if you were to say, what should I work out, Max? I would say try to stay below 115. See how you feel. And that's going to be very, very easy. Now, what that means, right? It means it's going to take, even if you only exercise for 15 minutes, right? Compared to what you were doing, that's 15 minutes more. But this is very sustainable. This is easy, right? For Nancy, potentially. This is, taking your dog for a walk, right? Yeah, right? But maybe over time, just a little bit here and there. But what happens is 15 minutes was enough for a while, and you're kind of like, that was enough. Well, very, very quickly, if you abide by this turns into 30 minutes. Yeah, then it turns into 45 minutes. Pretty soon, it doesn't matter what it is. You're going for walks that until you decide you don't want to go any further. You've seen everything you want to see, and you just want to go home. So it's just a base. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Again, this is this person. Got it? At this heart rate. You are with oxygen. It's sustainable. It's low stress, right? This is just movement, okay? And what happens is the more fit you get, the healthier you get, the less inflamed you get, the faster this gets. So Nancy might start, and let's just, this might start with a shuffle. Does that make sense? It turns into a walk, turns into a jog, turns into a run. You remember Mark Allen, right? He started at 8 minutes. He went to 5:15. I can promise you, this felt like a shuffle to Mark Allen. Do you get that? It's no different, just different degrees. Just different degrees.
So if you're working with someone who likes running, you would just say, slow down.
Slow down. Yeah, and watch. And the thing that is helping us get people to stay on target is by doing some measuring into seeing change. So if somebody likes to run, I would say, do you like to run? Yeah, what's the longest you've ever ran? Ever? 12 miles. Okay. So on average, do you run 3 to 5, 6 miles? Okay, cool. So for your first time, before you do anything, I would say go run a mile, just like Mark did, at your math. And depending on you and your essence, whether you're this person or this person, will depend on how easy this feels to you. Do you get that? Remember, exertion and perception might be different things. You might already be this person. I don't know. I can't tell. Yeah. So, you can get a heart rate off, Amazon. They're, they just $50, $40, you can find one. And then just start to monitor. You can get any kind of monitoring app. If you do, let me know. I'll send you an app link that will put you in my system so I can help and see how you adapt and change over time. It'd be fun to be a part of your journey with that. But what that is, so you're going to do a mile at your math. And the first time it might be 12 minutes. I don't know. I don't know how long you've been running, what your history is.
I ran 1,200 miles last year.
Oh, you run a lot. Yeah, so my guess is that you run pretty aerobically, just by the amount of volume that you do. Do you have many injuries? No, you always feel relatively good. Yeah. So my guess is that you're gonna run at your 180 beats minus your age, and that's gonna be like,
I'm 27.
yeah. So yeah, that's probably gonna be where you're gonna be close. It'll be interesting to know. I'd love for you to report back to me on that.
I run slow some days and fast other
Yeah.
days. And my guess is on my slow days, I'm probably around that.
Yeah.
And when I push myself, maybe I'm going.
Can you breathe through your nose?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's around your math. So that's good. That's why you've had success, why you've continued with it, why you enjoy it so much, right? I'm assuming you do pretty good with your food and everything else. Yeah. So you guys can see how it relates, right? I guarantee Karen is probably an aerobic person. If she was somebody that's like, oh, I have shin splints, my knee hurts, this is what most runners, they're always hurt in some manner. It's because they're putting too much strain and stress because they're working out, in this high intensity world, right? It's just too much stress. Those are just signs that you're overstressing your body. So kind of what I want to get at with all of this, we already live pretty high stress lives. Yes? Like just the way our society is now. And then we're going to ask and tell you to come into the gym and perform this high intensity at 180 beats plus, right? Now I'm just adding this whole nother level of stress to your life and beating you down just a little bit more, right? Eventually, what happens is you just run out of the ability to endure and adapt. So your cortisol, your stress levels just go through the roof. And what you're seeing now, high intensity work has been around long enough. You're starting to see and I saw it with my members, they're these really fit people that could do an amazing quantity and amount of work in a half hour, but yet they came 3 to 4 times a week, yet they all carry this little fat tire around their waist. And that's just a sign that there's something going on with your cortisol levels and you're just storing fat because you're essentially walking into the gym, and whether you really want to burn sugar or not, your adrenal glands are kicking on to raise and elevate your heart to get you ready to perform the work that you're about to ask it to do, whether it needs to be that high or not. Do you get that? That was why I was too tired to go for a walk, right? Why there's lots of members that I have. I'll walk over to them and I'll see their heart rate is 192 beats. And I'll walk over and I'll say, what's going on? How are you feeling? And they're like, I'm good. They'll have a straight conversation with me. Yeah, well, they're so good at this, they don't even perceive how hard they're working anymore. Their body isn't even aware that it's wearing itself out. Do you get that? Yeah, well, they've just done so much of it that it's not hard to them anymore. Their rate of perceived exertion is so high, at such a high level that they just feel fine. Does that make sense? And this was me.
Okay, so I'm not a runner.
Yeah.
And I love to lift weights.
Yeah.
But my heart, because I've been working with John with this, is 134.
Yeah.
Okay? That is so hard.
Yeah.
To keep if you want to weigh. So
Yeah.
How do you still maintain?
So Sharon, when you say you want to lift weights, so there's 2 different systems that are going on here. Building overall strength, you're not going to be able to keep your heart rate down in traditional manners. We're finding people are getting stronger through slowing them down, through getting lots of reps at lower weight.
That's what I'm saying. You have to go so low on your weight. So how do you keep your muscle mass?
Yeah, so let's real quick talk about what we do. That'll kind of maybe answer how we are seeing the changes in body composition and overall health that we're seeing. Okay, so a general class, or let's say you just wanted to do this on your own. I would just do a nice general warm up at your math. Can I use that term? You guys get that now? Remember, that's 180 beats minus your age, and whatever that looks like for you. Walking, lunging, air squats, for some, depending on where you're at, push-ups, leg swings, all sorts of different things just to get your blood pumping, get you into better ranges of motion. Got it? So that would be our first part of our class. The second part is our strength building. Now, what you will find, Sharon, the better you get at this, like your math, the more robust your system gets. You'll still, when you're lifting weights here, and we do things like back squatting. Let's just say it's a back squat, 5 rounds, 3 reps at 75% of your max. Are you following me with that? Some of you are like, what did you just write? Okay, so you're back squatting, barbell on your back, and you're building, your posterior chain, your glutes, your hamstrings, right? And you're going to do 3 of those for 5 rounds, and you'll rest 3 minutes in between. Got it? That's a real thing. We would do that. Got it, Sharon? Now, during this time, your heart rate potentially is going to get really high. Totally fine. It's not a long duration. Remember, we are causing stress and strain because we want to adapt, right? But we don't want to overstrain and overstress to the point where we can't adapt. Got it? So if we're doing a good job now, so let's say we do that set, and that's how we're maintaining muscle, Sharon, increasing range of motion, developing a well-rounded person, because we know carrying more muscle makes you a more productive person, happier, healthy. We're finding that, right? So that's one reason that's in there. And then we put in here, we'll just call it what we call it in the gym, a workout of the day. We call it now MAP work, maximum aerobic power. Now this can be anything, Sharon. This could be, let's just say, because I've warmed up your squat already, I'm going to have you do 3 minutes on the air bike. This could be anything. Treadmill, walk around the block, run around the block, depending on where you're at with this stuff, right? Depends on you, depends on your math. Got it? So this is all at math. Now we're back to math work. Oh my God, Max shirt. Not writing. Okay, this WOD is at your math. Got it? Follow me, Sharon? Still with me, guys? This could be 3 minutes on the air bike. Let's just go 20 air squats and 1 minute plank. Now, that might be it for the day, depending on you, where you're at in your journey of this world. But my members would do 10 rounds, 12, 15 rounds of this. Got it? They wouldn't think anything of it anymore. When they started, they wouldn't like it. But then we'd rest a minute. So we'd rest another minute, rest 1 minute, and we'd do it 10 times. Does that make sense now? So you're going to do 30, 40. Well, it'll take you 45, 50 minutes to get through that whole thing, right? But you're going to.
That's a daily workout.
Yes.
And the strength is only that squat? You're not doing any?
Yeah, that day.
Okay.
That day. Yeah, the next day we'll do presses.
I mean, like you're only working one body part?
That day.
That day?
That day.
Okay.
Maybe this should have been shoulder presses. Might have been a better.
There's definitely barbell worked into workouts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And this could be, let's just say it's 5, and then 6 ring rows. Does that make sense? And what I've seen and started to do now, there is an art to this. Got it? To being able to help you move. Like you're going to press a bar over your head, certain weight, 6 times. That's going to start to elevate your heart rate, right? I work really hard at trying to figure out, okay, where are we at? And teach you, like it's a process. You might start with 3 with a barbell, but as you become more fit and you become more aerobically robust, you might be able to do 12 at that same barbell weight. Or you might be able to do 12 at twice what you used to do. And I'm seeing it. Remember, Mark Allen doing the same work, or more work at the same heart rate. So that's what we're seeing. And that's kind of the magic in getting the results that we're getting. You guys still with me?
So is it because you're doing a workout, maybe a little
Yeah, yeah.
lower intensity, lower heart rate?
Yeah, volume.
So that your refractory period
Yes.
starts getting healthier, so
You
that
got it.
you're decreasing the
Yeah.
Stress so that then your performance is stronger.
You got it.
Okay.
You got it. You're able to adapt to this easier, right? So then you start seeing changes in all of a sudden 75% used to be 100 pounds because you are not overstressing during all of this quantity. Let's say think about the amount of time when this was 20 air squats. Let's not get caught up on what a day might look, but let's just look at this, and we'll talk about Darlene in a minute. But what does that look like? Well, that is 200 air squats by the end of this. My members won't think a thing of that. Do you follow me? They become so accustomed that, and their pace is going to be, and they're watching their heart rate, and they're just learning. They're going to do 20 like this. Do you get it? Right? And that's just how they're going to roll through their day. And then they've learned that what their paces are. They're going to walk over the ring rows. They're going to probably do those without stopping. Their heart rate's going to elevate, but they know they're going to get back on that bike, go to their pace, and it's just going to start to come down again, right? So yeah, their heart rate's going to do a little bit of this, right? So if this is beats per minute, this is time, right? And this is 100, right? Their heart rate's going to do a little bit of this. Does that make sense? Like they're asking to do work, so it's going to elevate a little bit by the end. But that's kind of the magic, is putting it together. So even if they get stretched, we give them a little bit of a break to get it back down to their math. Got it? And eventually what happens is, when we first started doing this, workout graphs looked like this. They looked like this. Like really highs and lows, because they just didn't have a real robust system. Well, now we're getting much more of just like that same workout might cause this. Does that make sense? And you can see which one's more chaotic, right? This one's more chaotic. There's less stability here. There's less robustness. Still not as stressful as this, right? But yeah, but still. Whereas, yeah, lots of effort for potentially just getting more of that. Remember this guy? Because this was that guy. Got it? Yeah, Karen, thanks. It's no problem. I hope you got something out of it. Yeah. And did you guys I was just going to show, can I show you one more thing for like 2 minutes? Because I'd hate to see and not be able to share this with you, because it's kind of some of my proof to all of this, that it's working. I think I got it. Come on, TV. Okay. All right. So this is a metabolic tester results, and this is essentially it's measuring the blue line is the O2 that you're bringing in. The red line is the CO2 that you're exhaling. This is a test that Matt did about a month ago, and this is a month ago. This was just the other day. It's been almost 6 weeks. Okay, sorry, between the two. And on this one here, you can just see that he is utilizing, so this is a really great graph right here that probably makes the most sense. This is heart rate above here. Can you guys see that red line? Okay, and you can see where the green, that second number there is his heart rate. Got it? So when Matt did this test, he wanted to know his math. He wanted to know his true math, because we were telling him 180 minus his age, and he was seeing progress, but not as much as he could, right? So he's like, I just want to know. I feel like it's not right. And he was right. It wasn't right. This point right here is what we considered Matt's math. And you can see here, this is total calories and fat calories. And at this moment, they start to split and diverge. So we told Matt, he's still utilizing fat all the way into this right in here. Can you see how that's there? But at about 150 beats, it starts to drop. And you can see the increase in carbohydrates. So I told Matt, let's give him a little bit, because for Matt at 115 beats, Nancy, it's really was like, I tie my shoe, I'm at 115. And you can see when we started him, he was already at like 110 beats just by putting the mask on and sitting down on the bike. So that was just existing for Matt. Got it? So now we said, Matt, just go and work out as much as you can at 125 to 130 beats. And he did that 3 days a week. He came to some of our classes that are more what we call GOAT training, goal-oriented aerobic training, which is more cyclical work, less lifting weights, because that just was overstressed to him. Well, then we just had him do the same test, the exact same test, and kind of look at the difference in these two graphs here, right? Matt didn't really report. The only thing that we also told him here was we asked him about his diet, and he's like, I eat okay, but not great. But the biggest thing that I do is I always finish like my girls' mac and cheese. So he's always finishing his toddler's food, right? He's like, I'm just going to stop doing that. And that's a great change. If you can stop doing it, and he reported that he did that. So then you can see here at that same kind of point where he was separating before, he's now all the way up to 138 beats. You guys see that? He was at like 117 or 115, right?
How long of a period of time is that?
This was 6 weeks, less than 6 weeks. In fact, we can look at the date here. Let's see exactly. 7/13, and this was 8/17. That's incredible. And all it was by him adhering to this ability at his true math, not his 180 minus his age, because that's just a guess and a formula by Dr. Maffetone that is effective. Because I can guarantee you, Matt before, if you watched Matt work out, Matt was a tenacious, hard charging man, like not wimpy. You know what I mean? But he would also be, the floor around him would be a puddle of sweat. I mean, huge amounts of perspiration because he's just working so hard. So I know this was after already doing Maffetone. Before we got this test, we'd already been doing some of this for 6-8 months. So I guarantee, and I can show you some other people here that, just started with us, and what a typical person that comes in looks like. Real quick, Karen. And then let's see, Austin. Come on, Jen's internet. And this is more typical of, we've just started to test new members. This is his graph. He has no idea how to utilize fat. Right from the start, he is burning sugar. See that? 119 beats. He's already, he's starting to utilize a little bit of fat just because he's running out of sugar. But he's already, he's at 130 beats here. And this is a gentleman that would have conversations with you at, 190 beats, his perceived exertion. And you can see he's not doing any more work at that high heart rate. He's just exuding energy for the sake of survival. You get that? So that's kind of what I wanted to make sure that I shared with you guys, is that this doesn't have to be extreme. Now we left Matt for this meeting. We said, Matt, go exercise at 138. And he's like, yes, I get to actually move. You can imagine now the results that he's going to get, right? Because now, and he's still, this isn't hard for him. 138 beats is still not hard work, but he's not inducing, and you can see he's still burning fat. Look at this, all the way to 167 beats before he starts to show any real decline. Like, which person feels better, right? Which person's going to start to lose some of that belly fat? You know what I mean? This person is going to feel amazing. And he does. That was the other thing we did on this first test that we had up there. We had him do Jen's symptom survey. Have you guys all done that for your NRT stuff? And I don't know if he scored like a 38 or something on that first one, somewhere in the 30s. And then the second one, I just had him do it after doing this test. He was 24, right? I know those are perceptions of yourself, but those are signs that health is improving. So I thought that was a really cool thing to be able to add to all this. So if you leave with anything, go home and practice working out at your math. Check it. Get a heart rate monitor. and see where you're at. And if you can breathe through your nose, you're already a pretty adapted athlete. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry guys to make it so long and to keep you. I appreciate everybody coming. If you, I'm not going anywhere. So if you want to ask and talk more, I'll talk about this for hours. I'm so, I love this stuff so much that I just can't even believe that this was put in front of me to share.
So how do you keep people motivated at that low heart rate?
Yeah, this is starting to motivate them. Yes. So we do tests to show them that they're getting better, right? So we have a FAF test that we do, functional aerobic fitness. Trademark hashtag, right? And it's basically, yeah, FAF. And you row 20 calories on the rower, and the 20 calories is just a way that it, estimates effort output, right? And then we do 10 shoulder presses. Yes. Yeah. And then it's bike 20, deadlift 20, burpee 10. And then they get a time. The most aerobic, strongest athletes, they do this in about 6 to 7 minutes. It takes me still 8.5. It takes some people 15. Got it? Right? And then over time, we just continue to do this, and then we retest, and all of a sudden they go from 15 minutes, they go to 12. Buy-in becomes really fast.
But they have to keep it at their math.
Yes, they can't go above their math. If they go above their math, the test was bogus, and we talk about that. The other thing that it is a total shift. Yep. Yes. Correct.
Well, when I first came back to the gym after having been away for probably 9 months, I started with the goat training. I was doing, and I had the monitor on, and I had to watch where I was at, and it really was very easy. I was like, I thought
This can't be doing any good.
like I wasn't working out because I had to keep it in this is the green zone, And when I would get off the bike and do a little more of the kettlebell or something, I would see it go up into the yellow, just like I was talking about, and then it would come back down. But I was like, oh, okay. And I would come actually, and I wasn't all sore. And I could go do what I needed to do, and I would go back to the 2 days later and do it again, and it would start. You get my reports printed out, and it just is, you can see it. At this point, it'd be fun to bring you back, Max.
Yeah. So to finish kind of your question there, though, Sharon, how do we get people to buy into this? We have a few different things. So we do this Pinoy test, this metabolic test. You think Matt is motivated? He's ready to go. You know what I mean? He's ready to add this to his another day outside of the gym, right? He's already a 3-day week, all the time, never missed. But this is already starting to have other conversations because he sees, oh, if I just do what you guys recommend and what the test shows, I'm going to see changes in how I utilize fuel and I feel better for my health. Oh, buy-in, right? The only thing that I wish that we kind of screwed up with Matt is we have a body composition analyzer, which is an InBody, and it's like state of the art. It's really expensive, and it's as high a grade as you can get outside of maybe a DEXA scan. I don't really care if it's perfectly accurate compared to a DEXA scan, but it's perfectly accurate for you each time you get on it. Does that make sense? So this will tell essentially the amount of muscle that you have, fat. So as soon as we got this test, we're like, Matt, get on that thing, right? Take a test so we can then see, now that he's going to utilize this one new heart rate, to see how his body adapts and changes, because it's just. And then we also do some strength assessments, right? So during this time, every new person gets stronger, right? It's just the simple aspect of just doing something you never did. But what we found with lots of athletes, and I'm talking people that have been doing CrossFit for 8-10 years, and their numbers have kind of like leveled out, pushing past those again. So like I use Adam as an example. He's 45, I think, and he's been CrossFitting traditional like high intensity stuff, but he was a triathlete in his, you know, previous to doing this stuff. So when I started talking like this, he was like, I'm in, it makes sense. Well, then all of a sudden he went from 185 pound clean and jerk, which is, Olympic lift, pulling the bar into a squat, standing up, pressing it overhead, right? He went to 205 pounds, I think is where he's at now. And this was in a short time from starting to do this kind of stuff, right?
So this would be really helpful to people, especially if they've reached their plateau.
Yes. Well, again, many times plateaus occur just because you keep doing the same thing. So just a new stimulus will help with that. But, now I'm also not saying that we won't add some intensity to this stuff. We do, because we want to test and show things. But so Mark Allen wasn't allowed to do any kind of intervals or high intensity work until he stopped improving his mile math. Does that make sense? So like through the years, like his mile was, started at 8 minutes, then it went down to 7:30, and then maybe he got stuck for a while at 7 minutes. Then his coach was like, okay, now it's time to add some speed work in. We need to develop some musculature, add some new training to start to increase this. So, and as soon as he stops, so then he starts adding that stuff. This goes down to 6:45, 6:30, but then it gets stuck again at 6:30. You follow me? Now now he needs to back off of his intensity again, and he needs to go back to building his aerobic system again until this starts to level off again. So it was just kind of the same concept. So right now we're just my members are getting annoyed. They're getting tired of the long aerobic work because it's boring. And they came for high intensity originally. But I have to keep like talking to them about, listen, this takes patience, right? I understand that this is like painstaking. Things can be hard in different ways, right? It's hard to just get yourself to continue on this path,
I'm working on my adrenals, obviously.
Yeah.
That's, just walk. I just want you to walk 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
And keep your heart rate up. And it's just like.
Yeah. What have you been seeing? Have you seen any changes in like your pace or how you're feeling during those things?
No, because I'm thinking it's a waste of time, because I get in, I'll just take, 5.
Oh, no, yeah, we can stop that. Yeah.
Just